Once it has been identified that a property may be at risk of flooding, the focus will naturally shift to seeking ways to manage and mitigate that risk. To ensure any proposed measures are effective, it's critical that a property's vulnerabilities are well understood. Every property is unique. While the building construction and scale may be similar to neighbouring areas, the external layout, landscaping and drainage can vary. Internally, the fixtures and fittings will be different. These variations mean that there is not often a one-size-fits-all solution to managing flood risk at a site scale. Initially, the focus could be seeking ways to protect large openings such as doorways and windows. However, it's important to also identify all other routes of ingress, such as suspended floors, damaged or defective masonry, or drainage. The pressure from floodwater can mean even the smallest defects within a building's fabric can be exploited to find a means of ingress. Dependent on the site, boundary protection, landscaping, or improved drainage could provide risk reduction. We always recommend that a flood survey is undertaken to assess a property in detail to identify all areas of vulnerability and subsequently determine what type of mitigation measures are likely to be most effective. The types of flood mitigation solutions come under two categories: flood resistance, which focuses on keeping floodwater out of a building or site as far as reasonably practical, and flood resilience, which seeks to ensure internal areas can recover quickly following a flood. Employing a combination of both flood resistance and flood resilience measures is a good way of providing the best possible protection to a property. Flood barriers can lull some into a false sense of security that they alone will provide full protection. However, this complacency can be costly should floodwater find another route of ingress. While flood walls, flood barriers and flood doors often provide a good level of protection, it must also be recognised that these measures are not infallible. Walls and barriers can typically only guarantee protection from flooding up to certain depths. At greater depths, the structural integrity of a building may be compromised such that flood resistance measures are ineffective without further structural assessment and design. Where ingress of floodwater cannot be prevented, it's important to focus on making internal areas flood resilient to minimise damage and reduce the time and costs involved in recovery following a flood. There are numerous types of measures, many of which can be tailored to fit a client's requirements and budget. It's always important to ensure flood products are tested, whether it's BSI kite marked, FM approved, or manufactured to the relevant British standard. This ensures they are reliable protection for your property. All measures should be installed by a competent contractor. What else can you do? Be proactive. Flooding, particularly from surface water, can occur very quickly during and following a storm event. Having measures in place that are passive or can be readily deployed provides peace of mind that you and your belongings should be safe. Sign up to receive flood warnings for areas which cover your property or nearby. Prepare a flood action plan. This should set out step-by-step measures to enact when flooding is predicted to minimise damage and disruption and ensure life and property is protected. While local authorities and agencies will enact their own emergency response plans when flooding is forecast, these should not be relied upon to provide adequate flood protection at a property scale. These authorities may have hundreds of properties to protect, and a handout of a few sandbags will often not be sufficient to prevent water ingress. Be proactive.